Hey there, everyone. I'm Nick. Thank you for taking the time to download, listen, or subscribe to the Buckets of Change podcast. This is episode 4. Thank you for being with me since episode 1. For those of you that are subscribers, it's a joy to be able to talk to you every week. And if you just stumbled across this podcast, whether it be on YouTube, the videos post on Fridays, or the audio versions, which post every Thursday, thank you for joining me. And hopefully I can share a little bit more with you about change and how some of the things that get in our way can be overcome in order to achieve the happiness and joy and fulfillment you're looking for, either in your career, your organization, or in life. And as I'm doing this, I'm kind of setting the stage for what you should expect every week. And I'm excited to hear messages from my listeners who may say some things to me that they might expect from the show. I open it up, and you can contact me, email, through the socials, and all the links are in the show notes. And a specific listener of mine who is unbelievably gracious and amazing in offering feedback about my show had recommended that even though it's nice to see me by myself, he would love to see me with guests. Now I'm working on that. I'm still trying to figure all this out and my schedule. And as the year is closing, my painting work is kind of slowing down a bit, but obviously I want to stay busy. But his name is Ron, and Ron recommended that I have guests on the show. And I used to have guests on previous podcasts, and it's a lot of fun, but my setup's a little different here, and the technology has changed over the last 10 years, and I want to make sure I maximize it. So when I know your expectations, obviously, internally, I want to exceed them. So I always want to do more than what's expected. How I was raised by a grandmother who provided me so much love. But I noticed anytime I did more than what's expected, I got a little bit more love. And sometimes when you do more than what's expected, you do get a little bit more. In my HR career, those employees that did more than what's expected stood out. And they basically showed the world, listen, I can do what you're asking me to do, but I can do more. And that kind of was the norm when I was in the corporate world. It just seemed like something that between how I perform my job and how other people did, those are the individuals that could take on more responsibility and be trusted to do things that other people can't be trusted to do, have a lot more responsibility, and own a bigger piece of the pie. Now, I've noticed that the other night I was on social media. I stayed up way too late. And I was on social media, and I follow on TikTok at Nick Goblirsch a animation kind of page where they take conversations between people and then animate them with stick figures. And it was a conversation between a manager and an employee at a desk. And excuse me, the manager had asked the employee that they had a new hire starting. I'm sure some of you have experienced this before, even if you're in a smaller business, where someone is being brought on board and you're asked to train them, to teach them what you know how to do. Now, obviously, that's a selfless act, to be able to pay it forward and help others and teach them. However, the way this employee responded was they said to the manager that, well, great, you pay me to do X, but if you're going to ask me to train someone, you should pay me a little bit more. And the manager's like, can you do me a favor? And the employee said, well, I have a phone bill and an electric bill. Would you mind paying my phone bill and my electric bill? That would be a great favor. And I get it. I understand the gist of it, but I'm seeing a lot more content out there that's sharing the idea that if you ask someone to do more than what's expected, they immediately feel that you have to pay me what that is. Now, in this age, I think, I don't know, the pandemic did it to the employee population, or just it becomes, now that we're so much more intrinsic and understanding our self-worth, that if anyone's going to ask us to do more than what's expected, we should feel that we're adding more worth, which we connect a monetary value to that. When I was raised by my grandmother, it was just something that made me feel good. It's how the world responded when I did more than what's expected. So earlier this week, I started thinking as I was painting, why is it that when I work on certain jobs, I go way more above and beyond to do more than what's expected, and some projects I just do exactly what's expected to the best of my ability, and I'm paid, and I move on. And then it got me thinking even of previous employers, where were the jobs that I did more than what's expected and went above and beyond And then what are the ones that I just kind of went through the motions and did what I was expected to do? And this podcast episode is not so much about exceeding expectations, but it's the idea of why do we find ourselves in certain situations unknowingly exceeding what's expected and others we don't. And I think it all comes down to, we ask ourselves, are we doing something that really serves our purpose, that fills something inside of us, almost a bucket, let's say, that then starts overflowing, and all that overflow is directed in doing more than what's expected. Anytime I was at an employer that I feel I was doing what I was meant to do, to serve others, to do something more, be part of something bigger, I always found myself doing more than what's expected. I worked at a company in the kind of the 2010s, and I found myself, it was a very difficult time because it was a retailer, and during the recession, people weren't spending money, and our company was suffering. It's probably the worst situation an organization I've ever experienced has been in while I've been a part of that organization. And yet I can go back and find numerous situations where I dug a little deeper to do more than what's expected. Even though my boss used to say it's Rome is burning, eventually the organization broke apart and was sold, that without hesitation, I would always do more. And I realized that it was a time when there was a lot of turmoil and conflict, and people were losing their jobs, and the change, big part of it, where I really kind of cut my teeth in understanding change on an organizational level, was really impacting people. And all I wanted to do is provide them peace of mind in whatever services I could provide. And deep down, I've become a lot more self-aware as I've gotten older, and that served my purpose. So it's like a switch goes off in your head and says, now that you're full and your bucket is overflowing, now it's time to share that overflow with others. I didn't do it in any way, shape, or form that expected them to write me a bigger check because I did a little bit more, or to come up to me and pat me on the back every 10 minutes because I did more than what's expected. It was something that provided me the fulfillment to know that I'm able to do this for others. I think we've really lost sight of that. We've really, really lost sight of that we may be moving in a direction where people that serve others feel, and I could be completely wrong, but it seems there's so many posts on social media that do this, that it's almost perceived as when you're asked to do more than what's expected, you're being taken advantage of. Now, I get that. I really, really get that. But in this brief episode, I want to challenge you to change that mindset and ask yourself, am I able to fill my bucket in the situation I'm in? Now, it could be any career that you're in, the job that you're in, any service that you provide. And is my bucket overflowing enough because it's serving my purpose that I can then pay this overflow forward? And in turn, that cycle of doing that, of doing something that fulfills your purpose, then allows you to become a lot more happier in what you're doing, and provide you a lot more joy, and allow you even to take that overflow and then pay it to the people closest to you, like your family, your friends, those people that you should be present with. And it took me a really long time. It's so much fun to do this podcast while I'm kind of going through any life transition at all, because I'm able to experience, and you watching or listening in real time, to see how in essence, if you just tweak that mindset, you can suddenly pull so much more out of the experiences you have, whether it be at work, in your career, or with people around you. So next time when you find yourself just settling and saying, I'm only going to do what you pay me to do. If you ask me to do more, I'm going to demand that you want more. And I find this even with every painting job I do, that the ones I go above and beyond are the ones where I connect more with the homeowner and the customer. I feel like they see the value in what I do. They aren't just focusing on the actual painting. They're focusing on their space and the warmth it brings, and the pride they may have, whether it be the outside of their house or the inside of their house. And suddenly my bucket is overflowing because it's serving my purpose, because my job is to provide you, the listeners, the homeowners, and all the clients I work with, the people I speak to, that I'm providing something that makes them feel good, provides them resources that they can use, a framework to use if they're going through any significant life changes or career changes. And that, in essence, fills my bucket, and then I can continue to pay it forward and forward and forward. And I think life is much easier when we have momentum. It could be a grind when things get very hard, especially if we're struggling to meet expectations. But if we can find situations, and if you are in a career where you feel that you're not fulfilled and you find yourself just settling to do what's expected, I challenge you just to possibly rethink the direction you're headed in. That maybe a change might be more beneficial to you, because trust me, even though it'll make your external situation a lot more peaceful and a lot more fulfilling, it will fill something inside of you that life is too short not to. Like, life is absolutely too short not to. And I thought that back in 2018, I would say to myself, is this it? Is this all I can do? And by taking certain steps in order to make some significant changes. And it could be small too. It could be if you're in a position or a career right now where you feel that the job that you're in, it could be a great organization, the job that you're in is just not fulfilling that. There are numerous ways to talk to people inside your organization to apply all those strengths and skill sets you have to do something different, because companies want people to be the best they can be in the position that they're in. That's if anyone says any different, they're lying to you. We want all of the people that work at a company to do the best they can in the job they're in. But if people become complacent, everything suffers. And even internally, I'm the only employee in my painting business. And if I'm not feeling fulfilled, it affects my work. It absolutely affects my work. But that's what's so exciting. Every time I have a new opportunity and I take on a new project, I'm allowed to be able to fill my bucket. And hopefully that overflow can turn into something a little bit bigger that'll make a bigger impact with those individuals that I'm working for. And the cycle continues. And I think that's it, guys. Thank you for watching episode 4. Ask yourself, am I settling just to do what's expected? Or can I find something or an opportunity to do that'll overflow my expectation bucket of myself, and I can pay that overflow forward and make a bigger impact to the people around me. And in turn, that energy just comes back to me in the form of joy, happiness, and peace of mind that I could share with my family and friends and be more present when I have to. Guys, if you look in the show notes, you can find me on all the socials. And if you are in a position or in a career where maybe you need to ask the right questions about your career or job, that a change might be imminent or needed, in my show notes, there's a link. I call it the Buckets of Change Assessment. It's a free 60-second assessment. Quick, you can do it on your phone, and it'll ask you some questions to kind of get you thinking a little bit more if change is necessary in the career path that I'm in. Guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Remember to subscribe to the show. Please feel free to reach out if you have any feedback. I plan on having guests in the future. I'm working on it, guys. I can't wait to bring people on here that can share their stories about change and how they overcame obstacles that they thought they never could. And also remember to check me out on YouTube if you feel that you'd like to watch me on video. Every Thursday, these audio podcasts post, and Thursdays, the videos post on YouTube. And again, you can find those links. Or if you stumbled across me on socials, just click on that and it'll take you right to my stuff, and you can listen to back episodes too. Have a great day. Have a great week. And I will talk to you very, very soon.